It's me. We got a face cam video tonight, boys. I just got out of the shower. It's literally 12:59, 1 in the morning. This is the only free time I have, and I'm using it to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. So, like every other content creator on the internet right now, we're exclusively talking about Master Duel when we're involved with Yu-Gi-Oh! I wanted to wait a little bit. I didn't want to make one of those first impressions videos. Oh my god, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel just came out of nowhere. We gotta get on this, make 30 deck profiles, I spent $500, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. I think I respect my viewers a little bit. I have a very small viewer base, so I very much appreciate it, and I want to give you guys the opportunity to understand what I'm talking about. But I'm going to give a bit more of an intensive review. This is kind of an unscripted, I don't want to call it a rant, because there are a lot of positive aspects to Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and I really have been enjoying the game, and I'm probably going to play it as soon as I finish recording this. You know, get footage, and by that I mean play the game. But I'm going to start with like the simplest things, and we're going to slowly move on to the more problematic things, you know what I'm talking about? The first thing I would probably have to talk about is the visuals and audio. I'm having to consult my list, so if you see me looking away, I have a very small list of things I gotta talk about. The visuals and audio are beautiful. It feels like it's alive. The game, it stands out enough for you to notice these key little details, noticing that you can actually click your mate, whatever, play with them. There's these little, like, you could see leaves and koi fish shaking around, rustling. It's so hard to do this in one in the morning, man. There's a lot going on visually, especially with the cards themselves. I really like the way that the HUD is presented to you and the animations when certain boss monsters come out. I'm a huge fan of that. You guys might have seen maybe something like Gustav Max and Juggernaut Libe, where you could actually see the cannon readying to fire, which is so cool to me. It's this very high level of detail that, in my opinion, if it's worked on properly, doesn't require too much effort from the VFX artists. I'm sorry about that. And it's something that I'm hoping just continues to look as good as it does. I realize that with future sets, if they introduce Burst of Destiny, for example, we're going to start having more boss monsters, Baroness, of course, Qishao, Chen Ying for Sword Soul, maybe Empen, and possibly Snowl or something like that for the Wanderies. Despia is not in the game for some reason, but I'm assuming it's going to be in the game. I don't know why it's not in the game. It should be. In fact, that's actually a very good point. I'm actually going to talk about the next thing, which is the format. When I first started Master Duel, I did not expect it to be OCG ban list and OCG rulings, which is the weirdest thing in the world. So I don't know OCG rulings, and I wasn't going to look into it for this. From what it seems like, your opponent can respond to trigger effects before you can activate another trigger effect. I'm not going to complain, but that means that chain blocking seems to be impossible with certain situations. So for example, I've had situations where I will activate an Unchained card, specifically let's say Unchained Aruha, Unchained Twins Aruha, targeting a set card to destroy it while I have Abominable Unchained Soul in my hand. Normally in the TCG, what I will do is Chainlink 1, the trap card, to special summon one from the deck, and Chainlink 2 the Abominable Unchained Soul to chain block, because it special summons itself from the hand. But for whatever reason, I've had situations where I activate the card in the graveyard, it switches to my opponent, and they will Ash it, and then I'll get the opportunity to activate Abominable Unchained Soul from my hand. This is like a small little nitpick, but for certain decks like Sword Soul, that might mean a lot. I don't know if this is an actual OCG thing or a glitch. I'm sure it's like an actual OCG thing. I can't be out of my mind for this one. We also get really weird situations. I think there was a glitch that happened earlier today. I was playing on my friend's account. He was playing Trap Tricks. He's a big Trap Tricks player. And we were having this issue where my opponent actually set up a board. It was like a Utopia deck. He had like a 6500 attack. I don't even remember what it was. I'd set up the board to be broken. He maxed me the first turn, but I set forward pass without even summoning Sarah or anything. And then by the following turn, I set myself up to actually have an OTK. Attacked with Utopia, regular Utopia, after using Utopia double, boosting it, and I had double or nothing in my hand. Negated my attack, and then I never got the option for double or nothing. I feel like the activation of certain effects kind of has issues in the game sometimes. This is just something that you notice as you play around a little bit. I'm sure people don't notice this within their first day or two, but as you continue playing the game, you'll start seeing these issues pop up. And with that format as well, since we're going by OCG rulings, there's one thing I absolutely love, and this is not a problem in the game in the slightest. Some people might not like this, but because we're going by OCG ban list as well, us players who might be kind of tired of the TCG format, like I've been so tired of like decks that I love not being very competitively viable. I'm trying to record a video. Can you stop meowing? What was I talking about? So the OCG ban list and giving us an opportunity, it feels like a breath of fresh air. I actually think it was the right move to go about this, but I feel like it should also give us the opportunity to choose what we would want to do, especially when it comes to something like the ranked duels. What I've noticed is that you only really have two options when you go into the Duel online menu, which is either a duel room where you play with a buddy or ranked duel. You could go into a duel room and join a random duel, but people don't really want to do that recently, what I've noticed. And a lot more people just prefer doing ranked, and I personally also grinded on ranked for quite a bit. I was one of those people that got the weird like gold 4 straight to plat 5. I don't know if that's a glitch or if it's just like if your win rate's high enough or something. I feel like that's causing a bit of a situation for newer players where people want to play online so that they could get comfortable playing with other people, but they also don't want it to be ranked. They don't want to keep declining in rank just because they don't really know how to play the game yet. And that's also because that keeps kind of a permanent scar on your account. It shows the amount of losses that you consistently have. And that doesn't feel good for new players to have to go into a ranked game where people are trying their absolute hardest to win, and they don't even get to play because they're playing against, you know, Stun Eldritch, which I play Eldritch as well. I don't play Stun Eldritch, I play very trap heavy, but they play Stun Eldritch or they play Prank Kids or Dragon Link or whatever else, or Drytron, I guess. And people have to sit through 5-10 minutes of combos that just takes so much longer because of the interactivity. This is actually, I'm going to show a clip from, I believe, Farfa's video that came out very recently on this.
Constant, do you want to use this? Do you want to use that? Do you want to use this? A card, Tri-Brigade Revolt, that is in the game. This card specifically requires 34 inputs from the user to fully realize the card effect. That's right, that means you're going to have to activate the card, click confirm, select each individual monster, confirm each of those individual monsters, select the battle positions of each of those individual monsters. Most of those things I just mentioned aren't even important because you're going to link them away instantly into a monster anyway.
What was it? 34 interactions by the player in order to fully resolve it. Now, there's like a lot of situations when it comes to adapting a card game to real life. Any real life person, you know, Tri-Brigade Revolt, just grab the pile, put 4 down, scoop it up, put it back, and then just resolve them in order by just pointing and letting your opponent know which ones. Because of the fact that this is essentially a system that's doing whatever you tell it to do, there's way too much interaction required from the player. There's no way that you can really cut it down without sacrificing a lot, and that's actually why I really don't like, I'm not a big fan of EDO Pro as well, because it requires the same amount of interaction. I think Dueling Book, even though you have to do very specific things, you can't mess up with anything when you're doing it on Dueling Book, that's kind of the peak because you have to be very specific. But of course, an official Konami simulator cannot have that option. Aside from that, there's also essentially what I was talking about with new players. Solo mode does a really good job at preparing you for the game, and it's really good at teaching you how to play the game. I think it's one of the best tutorials I've ever seen for a card game, and it's really good at getting you hooked because it just keeps introducing new mechanics without making it too confusing for the player. And it helps a lot when entire gates, I believe they're called, split up decks and summoning mechanics and give you the opportunity to test out decks that you normally wouldn't play. Like, I actually started to enjoy Megalith a little bit. I thought it was really fun, but it does also become kind of stale because solo mode is just very slow, and sometimes you just don't have you start messing up on certain things because for certain archetypes, they don't teach you enough, and I think that's sometimes a problem. You kind of have to piece together the archetype on your own, but it would be nicer if the game ahead of time gave you a few very simple combos, or just showed you a little bit more, especially because the AIs also don't know what they're doing very clearly. It's very hard to find a solution for this. My biggest issue with solo mode is that I personally have stopped playing it after a certain point because it's just so slow and the rewards aren't worth it. After the tutorial, I believe, where they introduced the different summoning mechanics, which give you 600 gems apiece, which is realistically, that's a really good amount. It feels like it's a lot at first, but 600 gems per mission is not going to be that much in the long run. Let's move on to gems so that I can talk about that as well. The gem mechanic feels good. I enjoy the fact that you could pretty much get a pack for 100 gems is a really good price, but it also kind of skews the pull rates. So let me give you a quick example, right? Let's say just for the most important card that you're going to want, you're going to play 3 of this in every single deck you build, Sometimes maybe you'll want to play 2, but you should own 3 of these right away as soon as you start the game. Max C, the most important card in the OCG ban list. As soon as you want to build 3 Max Cs, and by the way, I don't believe you could actually pull them unless you just randomly happen to pull them from a master pack, which has literally every card in the game. By the way, it's like 7,000 cards, and you're not going to be pulling it. So instead, with the crafting system, you would have to get 30 points by dismantling 3 other ultra rares. And where that becomes a problem is during a 10 pull, you get maybe 2 ultra rares, 3 if it's a pretty decent pull. I've seen people get like up to 5, and I've had that happen to myself too, of course. But that's very unlikely. Maybe like 1 in 5, 1 in 6 pulls will have you getting 5 ultra rares. Sometimes you don't get any ultra rares. But what that means is that if it's on average 2, you would need to pull probably 4,000 gems worth of packs just in order to get a playset of Max C. If you're lucky and you get 3 ultra rares per 10 packs, that's still 3,000 gems. Just by completing the entire tutorial segment, plus the secondary tutorial segment where they introduce the summoning mechanics, you are getting enough for, sorry, I'm doing like mental math right now, 1,500 plus about 3,000, you're getting about 4,500 gems, which again is like 1 to 2 playsets of meta relevant cards. And early on this was not that much of a problem because the missions supplemented the amount of gems you get. But for whatever reason, the more you play, the less gems you get. And this is a gacha mechanic, and I hate gacha games. I used to be really hooked on them. I spent so much time and money on Fire Emblem Heroes. I literally didn't miss a single login for like 3 years of that game's release. I used to play a lot of FGO. I played Brave Frontier back in high school. And gacha is the most toxic type of game. And while the gacha mechanics are good in theory for a Yu-Gi-Oh game, it becomes problematic when you hit what I'm going to call the gacha game plateau. So when you first start out the game, they really like flood you with gems and summons, and this is your gem count. It's just shooting up. And this right here, this shoot up point, right over here, that's where that plateau starts. That's when you start finishing all of the missions that are currently available, especially since the game is new, there aren't that many missions available and not that many gems. And you slowly start seeing this curve. You're getting less and less gems and less. And right now, I'm not even a high ranking. I have not even been playing the game for that long time. But if I was to say, it looks like this already. We've hit that plateau. After grinding ranked for maybe like a few hours, if I'm lucky, I'll get like 200 gems. That's 2 packs. Maybe a 1 in 5 chance out of those 2 packs to get an ultra rare. It's a lot of grinding. After hours of work, you just don't get anything and you're not able to upgrade your deck, and it gets, I really don't want to say this, it gets boring to play the same deck over and over, at least for me personally. I know there's people out there that one-trick a deck. I have my favorite archetypes. I love Unchained, I love Magistus. On the more competitive side, I'm really liking Sword Soul and the actual TCG, and I love Eldritch. And I built Eldritch in Master Duel, as well as putting together a Dogmatica package just so if I need it, I would have it. Especially because I just happen to pull a lot of it. But now I'm kind of stumped because I have no ultra rares that I can dismantle. I'm not able to work on other decks that I want to work on. I have 2 decks, which is, well, 3 I guess, but one of them is Eldritch and the other is Eldritch Dogmatica, so it's not that much of a difference. And then Unchained. And between those 3 decks, they also share a lot of the same cards. The triple Max C, we got double Ash, I believe. I kept triple Solemn Strike in both. They both play, or all 3 play Access Code, but I don't remember. Unicorn, whatever. But it becomes really problematic for players like me that just don't want to spend money on that kind of thing. I promise you, I'm not in a financial position to be spending more money on gacha games like I used to when I was younger. And the problem with it is that I really like this game, or I at least want to say that I really love it. And like, I'm going to keep playing it, but if all I'm able to do is just keep playing the same 2 decks over and over again, what's the point? There's also weirder situations where, for example, they gave me, what was it exactly? They gave me the bundles of 10 Master Packs plus 1 Ash, or Solemn Judgment, or Lightning Storm. And of course, you can get all 3. But then if you need more copies of those cards, you also have to craft those cards. So yeah, those bundles are really good, except you don't get anything out of it. I sound like I'm being really negative, and it's because when you really like something, you want to point out its faults because you want it to be better. You know, this is the excuse that all YouTube rant channels do. And I swear I'm not becoming a rant channel. I wanted to just talk about the game and its system because I really do want to see it get the improvements that it deserves. I think gems just need to be more easily accessible. The game needs to require less input from the player, but the issue is that competitively it's just not really possible to have that happen. Everything's very particular. You need to make sure that you're inputting the right commands. But even sometimes when you're putting in the right commands, those don't even work in the game for whatever reason. You have these really nice animations and just the way that it all looks, but sometimes it could feel really slow as well. I've had that happen a lot. Then you have this weird ranked system, like right now it's capped out at Platinum, and I feel like as soon as I got to Platinum 5, I'm like, what's the point? Why am I still playing this? It just sucks because the game is really good. I'm not kidding when I say like I love the game. And even I have a close friend of mine who was questioning whether or not he would even play it. He came out, he started playing it, and he's still playing it because he really likes it as well. But I promise you, he is not spending as much time on the game as I am, and I know if he does, he's going to hit that same plateau, the same gacha plateau, and he's not going to play the game anymore. Having the game inspired from gacha mechanics is really poor. The fact that it constantly, after giving you so many gems early on and making you more accustomed to having a lot of gems, it wants you to spend money and buy more gems, which is a horrible, like, for the player base, it's kind of a horrible burn, and I don't want that happening. I don't want that to be the game killer, that just, it becomes greedy. I never thought it was going to kill the TCG. I thought it was just, or at least I was hoping that it would give us another opportunity to play the game, and now it's giving us an opportunity to play the game in a format that we're not comfortable with. I'm literally over here looking up OCG decks from like early 2020 or mid 2020 to see if I can maybe copy that, work on it, see how that works. I like the best of one idea because it makes duels a lot faster. Usually you finish a competitive duel in around 10 minutes maybe, whereas you go to a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, and even though the physical card game is a lot faster, those give you 40 minutes for a best of 3. Alright, I'm like getting really off topic and I'm kind of ranting and mumbling about random stuff. What am I going to say about Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel? I'm really liking the game. I'm going to keep playing it. I'm loving it. God damn, this game has maybe, I don't know, like a week. I don't want it to be the game that dies in a week because of the poor control by Konami. I don't want it to be, I want it to have the Duel Links treatment where they give you more and more stuff, and I'm hoping that updates come sooner rather than later so that players are given more options for decks and maybe game modes, things like that. Maybe introduce Time Wizard format into the actual game so people have that option. Maybe introduce a TCG or a best of 3 option. That's not for me personally, that's for other people. Just give people an opportunity to be more casual. Let them have fun. I'm off topic. I hope you understand I don't dislike the game. I hope you can enjoy it, and I hope that you are enjoying it. And I am just hoping to get a few things off my chest for how I feel about the game. Thank you for watching. You have a great day and or night. Jesus Christ, I'm so tired. Peace.